All right. Hello, folks. Thank you very much for joining in for a top producer webinar today, or if you're watching the recording after, thanks for doing that. And yeah, today this is going to be 4 things you want to know after you set up Top Producer X CRM. So this is very much sort of a post setup coaching show. So maybe you've already gotten started with Top Producer X. Maybe you've logged in for the first time, set up your email integrations, you're importing some contacts and things like that. And now you really want to learn what else you can do day to day to utilize Top Producer X and allow your real estate business to have that competitive advantage that I know you're looking for. Yeah, that's exactly what the show is about. We're going to walk through 4 main points, things that we want you to know after you set up Top Producer X. And so just a quick introduction. My name's Spencer. I'm our senior customer success specialist here at Top Producer. I've been at Top Producer for almost 3 years now. Unfortunately, though, this is actually my last webinar with Top Producer, as I will be leaving Top Producer after this Friday. So this is kind of a little bit of a special episode for me, I guess, or episode, you know what I mean. And so good to be here one last time before I move on to another opportunity. And also, kind of an interesting thing or a new thing that makes this one a little bit more special as well is that I'm joined today by my friend and colleague, Heather Crozier. And so Heather is in the chat here on Zoom. So she's just training for webinars. And so she won't be on camera or anything like that, but she's definitely in the live chat. And she's going to share some links to go along with what we're talking about today. So if we're talking about a certain feature or something, she's going to be sharing some resources so that you can learn more about that as we go. Yeah, so Heather's just saying hello in the chat there. Feel free to reach out and say hi to Heather or myself. Like I said, guys, if you've joined me before for these webinars, I think I see some familiar names in the attendees right there, like Mark and Jim as well. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in today for this sort of bittersweet airing of 4 things you want to know after you set up TPX, as this will be my last show with Top Producer. Just in case you joined in after I announced that, I will be moving on to another opportunity after this week. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be a Top Producer webinar host for about 2 years now. Two of the 3 years that I've been at Top Producer. So yeah, guys, without further ado, let's jump into the action. Oh, Mark, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate that. Mark was saying, sorry to have this as your last show. You've been great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that means a lot to me. Thank you. So guys, just as Mark has done, you can also reach out through the chat here on Zoom. Just click on the chat button. Feel free to say hello. Let us know where you're coming from today. Let us know how long you've been involved in real estate for, maybe how long you've used Top Producer for, anything that you feel like sharing. Feel free to reach out and say hi. Be happy to hear from you guys one last time today, and Heather would as well. And after the show today, if you need some help, just remember you can contact our customer care team through the live chat. All you have to do is click on the little chat bubble button. It'll be in the bottom right corner of any Top Producer product. It's also available at topproducer.com/campus, which is Top Producer's support site. And so you can actually use the live chat on the campus site without being logged into anything. And so that's a great option if you just need some help really quickly. Maybe you don't have time to log into your CRM, maybe you're on the go, that kind of thing. Maybe you forgot your password or something like that. You can definitely access the live chat anyway at topproducer.com/campus. Live chat is available Monday to Friday from 7:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. in Pacific Standard Time. And you can also email our help desk at support@topproducer.com. All right, folks. So moving right on to the bulk of the content here today. And so this is the game plan. We're gonna talk about customizing your sales pipeline with custom tabs and follow-up reminders, and we'll talk about contact types and contact statuses, sort of like a prerequisite to that. How to organize them first, and then what you can do with those different contact statuses and types after you put them in place and after you start utilizing them. And then we'll talk about working your database with the follow-up coach. It's a great feature. Anyone can use it day to day. It lets you focus on 5 contacts. So if you're not sure what your next step should be, or even you just want to be a little bit extra productive in your day for your business, you can always step into the follow-up coach, and it's going to have 5 smart suggestions waiting for you there. We'll then talk about preparing follow-up and marketing content using the template library. So the template library comes with tons of built-in templates for different situations. But the great thing is you can make your own as well. You can make as many as you want. So if there's more specialty situations, you can definitely go in there and make something that really sounds like it's coming directly from you. And you can use that content over and over again as many times as you need to, or modify it, as time goes. And then we'll also show you how to streamline overall prospecting, follow-up, and your transaction processes and things like that with the use of the Task Plans Manager. And so the template library and the Task Plans Manager kind of go hand in hand. The template library is where you prepare your content first, such as email and texting templates. Texting available only if you're in the US. And then Task Plans Manager allows you to incorporate those templates and have them send out content automatically, as well as remind you to do different tasks and follow-up calls and things like that. All right, guys. So jumping into the first point today, customize your sales pipeline with your own smart lists and follow-up reminders. And so, guys, as you already likely know, even if you're a new user or newer user, I should say, along the top of your contacts page when you're logged into Top Producer X, there will be what we like to call your sales pipeline. And so just right out of the box in TPX, this is represented by 5 main contact statuses: new, engage, future, active, and closed. But there's plenty of room to customize that further and really get more specific than just that. And that's going to allow you to target the right contacts that you need to for marketing, for follow-up, for all sorts of things, right? There's so many different uses. It would take a while to, kind of explain them all. But in this example in the slideshow, we can see that we're on the active tab. And so that would be showing us our active opportunities, our current clients. And just a quick breakdown, I'll keep it brief because I think both of the attendees right now are fairly experienced Top Producer users. But as far as I remember, and so new is meant to be for brand new leads. Engage is meant to be for leads that you followed up with, but not yet qualified yet. And then from engage, you want to either move them to future if they're more of a colder lead, a long-term opportunity, or from engage to active if they're a current opportunity, a current client. And they can stay in active while you're working with them. And then you can move them to closed once you complete a transaction with them. And so in this example on active, we have a variety of different contacts. We have some sellers, we have some buyers, and it's great that they're all active, but obviously we need to be able to organize them further than that. And that's exactly what we've done with the contact types. So we have rows here, and just a quick disclaimer, as usual, all these contacts are just make-believe randomly generated people. So just a heads up. But Rose here is a seller, and she also happens to be tagged with seller currently listed. So right off the bat, that tells me a lot about her, right? John is a buyer, but he is also a first-time buyer. And so you can use these contact types in conjunction with your contact statuses to really go further than just new, engaged, future, active, closed. That being said, your contacts definitely have to fall into one of the 5 main pipeline statuses. And because generally they can, if they don't belong in any one of the 5 main statuses, then chances are they're a non-client, like another agent or a vendor that you work with or something like that. There's definitely a status for that as well. But without further ado, guys, let's jump into TPX and take a look at this in action. So I'm logged into Top Producer X CRM. In case you guys need a reminder or need to follow along or anything, and you can just go to crm.topproducer.com and feel free to join in there. But along the top of our contacts page, you can see we have the sales pipeline, new, engaged, future, active, closed. So for example, maybe I am looking at the leads that I've engaged with, the ones that I've started to follow up with, but I haven't been able to, quite categorize yet as in terms of like a cold lead or a hot lead or something like that. So let me just change this here for one sec. And so I'm looking at all these different contacts. I see we have some buyers, buyer single family. Maybe they're looking for a pool, so I've tagged them with that as well. We have Kirk here, and he's tagged with pre-approved. Obviously, this is going to be a great prospect, right? I would think if he's ready to go for mortgage and stuff like that. And so what I can do here is I can open up Kirk's contact record. And then on the left side, I see the different contact types that he's tagged with. maybe I want to modify these, right? Maybe I want to move them through the sales pipeline. Let's say, our last conversation that we had was the one that really, turned the page, right? And now we're moving towards actively working together and going in to find Kirk a home, right? We can go down to the blue edit contact button at the bottom, and then scroll down past the contact details to contact status and contact types. And then, so we're going to move him to active. We also want to update his contact types a bit. So we can go engage and then active, right? Maybe at this point, he's no longer really a lead. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to replace this with, like, let's say we're going under contract, right? I could say buyer under contract, and I can add that on there as a type. If you don't have that in your database yet, guys, just a reminder, you can just make your own type anytime you want. So you just type it in the box here, and that will let you add it. And that's a part of your database from now on. And so, yeah, as we move him through the sales pipeline with the statuses, we'd want to keep the contact types up to date as well. Yeah. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this contact at the bottom. And there we go. His contact record is updated. And of course, we'd probably, if we just spoke to him, we'd want to document that call. Maybe it wasn't a scheduled thing, perhaps. It just kind of happened. We didn't have any sort of planned task to call him in our CRM, let's say. We can actually use this wrap up button at the bottom for that. So let's say we just got off the phone like an hour ago or something like that, or maybe a few minutes ago. We can click on wrap up. That's going to open up the wrap up window. We can tell the CRM what it is we did exactly. So that we have that documented. So we're going to say it was a phone call. We could also change his status here as well. So you don't have to go to edit contact to do that or anything. You can change it here as well. Spoke with Kirk. He's good to go. Signed contract. And we'll talk more tomorrow. And then from here, we can schedule a follow-up if needed. In this case, let's say we're going to do another call tomorrow. So I'm going to say follow up on signed contract. And then I'm going to go ahead and set that to tomorrow and save that wrap up. And so all at the same time, I've used that wrap up button to document our phone call that we just had recently, captured my notes and scheduled the next call all at the same time, right? And so very, very efficient. So now I can go to the notes section and I see that note is documented right there. And it's associated specifically with that call made, that logged call, right? And you can see that also if you go to your task tab, because then I can see my complete tasks. If I switch this to complete, there we go, call made. So that documented call is always there along with its associated note. So I'm going to close out this contact record and show you a little bit more what you can do with contact types now that we kind of know how to add them and stuff like that, just for anyone that's watching the show later, perhaps. And so, these contact types, you can search by them a couple of different ways. So if I want to look for all my listing prospects, I can just even click on this one right here. That's one way to refine that search. Another way is to use the top right corner search box. So if I want to search for is like all my past clients, for example, I could go ahead and type in is with a colon. That's going to tell the CRM I want to search for contact types is past client. There we go, 211 results. And then, let's say I'm focusing on my active clients the most, obviously, right? Want to try to transact with them and, help them out, help myself out, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and actually make that a lot easier through the use of custom tabs. So let me just resize my window here so you guys can see this. Custom tabs, it's going to allow us to change our sales pipeline or modify it. So let's click on the little gear icon, create tab. And then let's say instead of just active, I want to focus on my contacts that are my sellers that are listed with me right now, right? So I could keep it simple. I could just say listed, right? Because I'll know what that means. And then I can search for the listed type, and there's seller currently listed. So that means that everyone that has a seller currently listed contact type tagged on them is going to show up in this tab called listed. And so create tab. And there we go. I have a brand new tab at the top of my sales pipeline. Sorry, Zoom might have been blocking that, but you can see there's that listed tab. I can click and drag it and move it around. So maybe I want it between active and closed or something like that. I can definitely do that. And so now everyone in here is likely active unless I forgot to switch their status. But what they do all have in common, no matter what, is that they all are tagged with seller currently listed. And so that way I can focus in on these contacts way more than just sifting through all of my active contacts, right? Because maybe I have a buyer that's interested or something like that, or I know another agent that has a buyer that's interested, and I want to check and see all my currently listed contacts, and get in touch with them or something like that. See what was the most suitable property for that buyer or something like that. Who knows, right? And then we can take this a step further as well, because these are our sellers that are listed with us. We're constantly keeping an eye on the listing for them and taking different offers and things like that, right? So just in case, it's good to have a little bit of redundancy built in. And so that's why I always recommend using the follow-up reminders. So you can actually apply a follow-up reminder to any contact tab, whether that be the built-in ones or your own tabs. And so let's click on add follow-up reminder. This will make sense in a moment. Let's say I want to make sure that my sellers that are listed with me never go more than 5 days without me either following up with them or just even me remembering to update their contact record in Top Producer, right? So I'm going to type in 5, save follow-up reminder. Now, instantly, everyone is unfortunately overdue, but fortunately, this isn't real. So, but this means that they're past that 5-day threshold for the last action. If they were on the cusp of that, it would highlight them in yellow and say follow up instead of overdue. And if they're completely fine, they're not anywhere near that threshold of 5 days, maybe it's 1, 2, or 3 days, that kind of thing, then it would not highlight them in any specific color. So this is just a great way to have that visual aspect. You click on the tab and boom, there's that visual cue right off the bat that's helping reinforce the fact that you should probably take some sort of action. So for example, George Jetson, right? Let's say I click on his contact record. I say, whoa, this is really out of date, June 2nd. Maybe we just spoke recently, right? I could say wrap up, I could document a call, and then I could have that update his last action. And then he is good to go now. He's up to date, less than a minute ago. And so sometimes that's all you need is just a reminder to do a little bit of record cleanup or maintenance or that kind of thing. Maybe you've already taken action. Maybe you've already followed up and everything's good. Sometimes you just, I forgot to do that in my CRM. That can also be a great way to remind yourself. And so guys, lots you can do with contact types, contact statuses, your own custom tabs and reminders. And, the whole CRM is definitely based around categorizing your contacts in ways that first off make sense to you and that are going to allow you to be productive. And just for fun, I'm just going to run a quick little poll here. I know we only have a couple of attendees today, but just for fun, like I said, it's my last show, so why not? So pipeline management, an organized database is a profitable one. How's your pipeline management and contact tagging? And so, multiple different ways to keep track of your contacts. Feel free to participate, guys. If not, that's totally okay as well. But thought it would just be fun to try. And in the meantime, we're going to move on to our second point for today, which is using the follow-up coach for maintaining relationships and creating opportunities. And so it's no secret to anyone that's watched the shows I've hosted before, but I really, really like the follow-up coach. It's honestly a really good feature that allows you to focus on 5 contacts at a time. So for new users that might be watching, it's a great way to start somewhere. Because if you've just imported a database of it could be 30 people, could be 100 people, could be 500 people, could be 1,000 people. Sometimes it's kind of daunting. Where should I start, right? If it's just your sphere of influence, your sort of general database and stuff like that, the 5 contacts that the follow-up coach will give to you, they're as good of a place to start as any, right? And so you can begin to focus on 5 at a time. You could do 15, you could do 20 if you wanted to, but 5 is a great baseline. Because you can put aside 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you have to spare that at the moment, and really work your database. Because the cool thing about the follow-up coach is whatever you're doing through it, you're pretty much automatically being productive, as long as you are actually using it as an opportunity to take action, though. And so let's jump into TPX here. And I'll just stop that poll. I've got a feedback from the gentleman that have joined us today. Thank you very much, guys. So they have been saying I've been using contact types to tag my contacts, but have not using statuses as much. And just to be honest, that's actually fairly common. I do see that a lot. Worth just, you know what you can even do is use your contact types that you've been using to then very quickly just do a mass update of contact statuses. So for example, if you know that all of your past clients should probably be also in the closed status, you could search for everyone, that's a past client, and then just switch them over to closed or something like that. That might kind of help catch things up there a bit. Awesome. All right, guys. So moving on to the follow-up coach, going to click on the follow-up coach tab across the top of the sales pipeline. Just like any other sales pipeline tab, you can rearrange this. So maybe you want this at the very front, you could definitely do that. And then, so, I click on the follow-up coach. There's 5 contacts displayed for me here. Different suggestions, different contact statuses. And that's actually one really important reason to keep your contact statuses updated, other than the fact that it allows you to at a glance know exactly where someone is, but also the follow-up coach gains a better idea of where everyone is in your business. And so, for example, we look at Richard here in the center. He's a future contact since the last touch was January 11th. It says schedule a follow-up to ensure imported contacts don't fall through the cracks. And so this is something that you might see as a newer user. If you just imported contacts, it's going to take a while to work through all of them. If it's like hundreds of contacts, right? There's just no way around that. But the follow-up coach does at least have your back. And it does urge you to take action on these newly imported contacts, because for all it knows, Richard might not be a future contact. He was just imported with hundreds or thousands of other contacts into future. He might be a past client, or he might be someone else. He might be a realtor or a vendor for all it knows, right? So let's actually use that example really quick. Let's say Richard is another agent that I sometimes work with, and we provide referrals to each other because maybe we're just both outside each other's areas that we'd like to operate in, right? So let's click on Richard's contact record. And let's say this is all out of date. So I'm going to go ahead and click on edit contact at the bottom. Let's scroll down. Let's set his contact status to non-client. Let's remove these contact types, and let's say realtor, right? We could say referral source. And then maybe we want to tag like what area he's in or something like that. I'm trying to think, because I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So just trying to think realistically how far of an area would have to be that if I were a realtor, I wouldn't want to, go out of my way to serve. Maybe Langley, I guess. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Langley. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I would be a terrible realtor for saying that, but Langley is, I think, in my opinion, a little bit far enough away that I wouldn't want to have to drive, that far every single time, like an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. So let's go ahead and save that contact. And so just like that, Richard is way more up to date. He's tagged accordingly. But the follow-up coach doesn't really know that we've done something yet, or I should say it's actually giving us the opportunity to add more details, because we've switched him to non-client. That technically counts as a touch on the record. If I were to close out his record, I think he might be good to go, but we can also click mark done. And we can also use that opportunity to record any other details. In this case, we haven't called him, we haven't emailed, we haven't texted anything. So let's just say we didn't need to take action. This would be one rare example that I could say, or that I would say it'd be okay to use the skip button. Normally, highly recommended that you don't use that skip button though, because that kind of takes away the whole point of the follow-up coach when it comes to your actual prospects and clients and stuff like that. But in this case, we've kind of done what we need to. We're just going to go ahead and skip. Richard's taken care of, good to go. And then we can move on to the next person. And then using a more realistic kind of day-to-day, prospecting or follow-up example. Let's say that we come across Kevin here, and Kevin is also a future contact. It's saying that we should put our sphere of influence to work. Over 40% of buyers were referred by a friend or relative, right? So let's click on Kevin's record, and we see that he's actually tagged with sphere of influence. Oops, I clicked on something. Yes, tagged with sphere of influence. And so that's why it's giving us that tailored suggestion. And so it's going to elaborate and say email or give them a quick call to generate some repeat and referral business. And so from here, I can, take this opportunity to first off review Kevin's record, make sure it's up to date. maybe edit contact at the bottom, make sure his contact information is up to date. Make sure that his contact types are up to date. Maybe he's actually a past client. I can go ahead and as well, I can go ahead and tag him with that and whatever other types I want to, and then go ahead and save that contact. So that's a great first step. And then if you're not sure where to go next, there's never any harm in just starting at the top and making your way down, right? Because I can see relationships. I can say, does Kevin have a spouse or partner or child or someone that I should document in the new relationships feature, right? I could add them in here. So maybe I know he has a dog, right? Let's say I know he has a dog named, this is going to be really not original. I'm going to say Grover, right? You could definitely add Grover as the contact. It's, why not, right? So I can go ahead and just say Grover, doesn't have a phone number, doesn't have an email address, obviously, just going to say non-client. I could literally, if I want to just be silly, I could say dog as well. Why not? And then go ahead and save this contact. And then there we go. It's definitely not the spouse. It is the, you could say child. Why not? Right? We can use this to stay organized, but we can also have a little bit of fun with it at the same time. Why not? Right? Save that relationship. And there's Grover. He's the child, right? So we can click on Grover. We see he's the dog. So why not? Right? But anyway, we can make our way down. Dashboard, obviously our overview emails. Is there any emails between Kevin and I that I need to follow up on? We can check, or even just refresh my memory about what our last conversations were, whether they were days, weeks, months ago. Important dates. I don't have his anniversary added here, right? So this is a great opportunity to really go through and make sure that I do everything I can, right? So let's say our home anniversary. And then I always recommend adding the year at the end of it so that you always know when the original year was, no matter how many times that celebration reoccurs. So let's say it was at the beginning of the month. Save that date. So there's home anniversary added. Perfect. Make my way down, see if there's any notes I need to reference, see if I have his property up to date. If I don't have his property up to date, chances are I probably also don't have his transaction documented. So in this example here, I actually have like an active transaction that I forgot to close. But as it says MLS sold, it's definitely done. So maybe I just need to go in and also close that transaction out, have that update his properties, right? So that this transaction 3937 whatever that would take over as his property. So I can kind of do, finish that off and update his record. Market snapshots, if I send him a market snapshot report yet, good to keep him up to date with his home's value, what his neighbors are selling for, have that be sort of a little bit of a drip campaign, if you will, after sale. Never a bad idea if you have market snapshot, and so on and so forth. And so after you're done with that, you can definitely go back to dashboard, mark him as done in the follow-up coach. Say, maybe in this case, let's pretend we send a market snapshot, right? Let's say sent snapshot and text message, let's say, right? And you could say applying sphere plan or something like that, right? And then save wrap up. So I've got that documented. He's taken care of. But I did say I wanted to apply a sphere of influence plan. So this is kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but just to show you guys really quick, because we'll talk about task plans more in just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and click on apply plan in the top right corner. And I'm going to search for sphere. And there's a sphere of influence plan. So it's like 90 days from now, 3 months from now, check in, say hi, set up on a quarterly market snapshot. If you haven't yet, let's apply that plan. So now I don't have to try to remember to follow up with him manually. I don't have to just wait for him to come around to the follow-up coach again or something like that. If I don't want to, I can be a little bit more proactive and apply a plan that's going to, put together all these touch points to remind me to call him, to remind me to send him a market snapshot if I haven't, to check in and see how he's doing and that kind of thing. And so you can really use these opportunities in the follow-up coach to do some maintenance, right? And do some really setting your context up on some kind of follow-up plans and stuff as well. So let's close out Kevin. So that would be 2 down, 3 waiting for us. So guys, using the follow-up quotes consistently is really going to lead to stronger business relationships, more business opportunities, and it's going to provide you with a competitive edge, because I guarantee you that people that don't have Top Producer X are not doing something like this, right? So it's a great answer to what my next move should be. What can I do to be extra productive, and how can I make sure no one slips through the cracks at the end of the day, right? And so we're going to move on to our third point here in just a sec. I'll do a little poll again here just for fun. And moving on to the third point for today, actually after a quick little coffee break here. All right, so on to the third point, guys. I'm going to talk about creating your own time-saving templated content to use again and again. And the template library in Top Producer X is your go-to spot for putting together custom, email, and if you're in the US, texting content as well. Chances are, throughout your time as a realtor, you've probably had to draft up the same kind of messages time and time again, right? Like reaching out to a new lead saying, hey, thanks for your inquiry, that kind of thing, all the way to the transaction processes and requesting different documents and all that kind of stuff. And so you can really streamline all those different things with the use of your template library. It's very, very open-ended. You can use it for anything from following up with current buyers or sellers to new leads, to past clients, or even just advertising events or something like that, right? There's different categories that you can use to help keep yourself organized with your templates. And so everyone that uses Top Producer X definitely has access to the email template library. Texting templates exist at this time only for US customers. So if you're watching this and you are not in US, I apologize. It's just a very difficult thing with texting because there's a lot of legal sort of things around it. But at this, we'll always explore that in the future and see if there's any way to make that happen for non-US customers. But if you are a US customer, highly recommend you take advantage of texting templates as well. So we're going to primarily focus on email templates just because, like I said, everyone has access to that, and show you some stuff you can do. So jumping back to Top Producer X, and actually just in the poll here, we had someone vote for, sorry, I guess I should explain the follow-up coach poll for anyone that is watching this later, was asking, ready to start doing some cleanup and additional prospecting using the follow-up coach. Use it to give you an edge over your competition. And then we had someone vote for, looks great. I didn't know what it was for until now. I'll start using the coach. And it's kind of a win-win. If someone says yes, they've been using it, or no, they didn't use it, but now they want to. Like I said, that's great either way to me. So excellent. All right, guys. So we're going to take a trip over to the marketing tab on the left side here. And under marketing, right off the bat, guys, if you're a Market Snapshot subscriber as well, which is an add-on to Top Producer X, allows you to send out custom market real estate market reports. You'll see all of your active and current market snapshots. Great reporting feature here. You can sort, you can see what's going on with all the stats and everything. You can also see your associated listing alerts that go out day to day to your contacts. But we're going to go to the third tab right now, which is the template library. And so this is where you go to work on your templated content. By default, it's going to show you your email templates. And so taking a look here, guys, we see there's the current buyer category. I have lots of different templates. I know I've modified a bunch of the built-in ones. I've made my own as well. There's the current seller category. There's the events category, lead conversion, things like that. And so, guys, it's fall. It's definitely holiday season, right? I know it's American Thanksgiving coming up, right? We have ours at a different time of the year, being Canadian, but I definitely am aware of the American holidays a lot more now after working at Top Producer for a couple of years. Most of our customers are indeed American. And so, it's fall time, and it's also Christmas coming up soon. You might want to make like a template for the holidays, for example, right? So, you can use this as a double-edged kind of sword thing where you can say like, it's a very pleasant thing you can send out, but it's also a way to, of course, get your name out there, separate yourself from the rest, and get people to work with you at the end of the day, right? And so, for example, I have a Happy Holidays fall template that I've created. I did this by going to, actually, I based it off one of the built-in ones, because by default, guys, you have a Happy Holidays template. If we look on the right side, it says system. So that's the only built-in events template. Because events are very specific, right? So usually you'd want to make your own template for X event that you're doing or being a part of. So if we click on the Happy Holidays template, we can see that it's quite simple, but you could use this as a starting point if you want. So let's go customize template. And then you can use that as a starting point. So you can change the wording, you can insert pictures, different formatting, things like that. Just a little tip, guys, if you are customizing the built-in templates, you would likely want to remove the sign off at the bottom that says agent first name. And the reason for that is because if you've already set up Top Producer X, your email integration and stuff, you've likely also set up your email signature. So it would be obviously redundant to have that sign off twice. I think that's mostly there just for brand new people that maybe wanted to use it right away without setting up their signature. But highly recommend you remove that first for if you're using any of the built-in templates. So we can work on that. We can save that, and then that can become our personal copy. So just to show you what the possibilities are here, guys, here is my own personal copy that I worked on with my colleague Dan Salcedo last time. He practically begged me. I'm just kidding, but he asked me jokingly if I could say Happy Pumpkin Spice Season. Begrudgingly, I did it. I'm just kidding, but no. But you could have fun with this, guys. Obviously, right? So hi, and then it'll title itself. It'll automatically adapt to the contact's name that you're sending it to. Have some nice graphics in there. Look online. You can probably even find some free stuff like I did, or you could, of course, get some paid content, or maybe your office has someone that designs graphics or social media content. That would be perfect. You could get them to make something for you, and then have a nice message there, and make it about the holiday, but also very much make it about real estate, right? And if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. And then you could put some kind of comment about the market, or some recent sales you've made, and let them take a look at those sold listings. And you could really tailor this however you want. And just a little tip that we always kind of get out there is it's always nice to send pleasant content, but it's a great opportunity, like I said, to make it also about your business, also really urging someone to work with you and contact you and that kind of thing. So let's go ahead and save this template. And there's a lot we could do from here, I should say. Let's say we want to send this content out to maybe a couple different groups of contacts, but first and foremost, we want to start with our beloved past clients, right? People that have given us business, people that we have, perhaps friendships with, or business relationships or friendships. And maybe more than anything, we want to get this message out to them first, right? So using that example, let's go to our contacts page. Let's do a search for our past clients. Or maybe we even wanted to start with our best referral sources or something like that, right? The ones that have brought us the most business. We could say past client A, for example. So I only have one. That's maybe not the best example. Let me just kind of try something here. So I'm just going to mass update a couple here just to kind of give you guys a bit more of a realistic example. Oops. All right, let's try that again. Past client A. Okay, so I may have not have done that right. I think I goofed something up along the way, but either way, let's just say we want to start with these ones. So let's say I want to go from the top to Lewis here. Just a little tip, guys, while we're at it. If I've checked off Michael, I can actually hold down the shift key on my keyboard and then click on Lewis, and that's going to fill in the gaps there. So just a little tip, not everyone knows that. I can fill in the gaps from where I first selected down to where I want it to end at. So let's say I just want to start with these ones. I can go ahead and have those 7 selected, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on the group email button in the top left, the little envelope. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to events and Happy Holidays Fall. There's that template. I'm going to select it. Looks good to me. Let's go ahead and send that off. And just like that, those 7 people or those 50 people or those 100 people or however many I selected within the 100 limit of group email are going to get that email sent to them. It's going to be customized to their name. It's going to be a great point of contact. Like I said, very pleasant, happy holidays, make it fun. And then also, of course, remind them that you're here if they need any real estate help or if anyone they know is friends or family and that kind of thing. And yeah, so that's just one example of many, of course, guys. You can use the template library to have stuff ready for buyer follow-up, letting them know about shifts in the market, new listings, even, right? You could advertise new listings. You could have a template prepared for that you swap in different pictures and different bits of information for. And then you can target the right prospects. Maybe you have a single family home, 1,000 square feet, 2-bed, 1.5 bath like this or whatever. You could definitely say, oh, I'm going to target just my buyers that are interested in single family homes. You could check to see if it's within their price range as you're checking them off, thanks to the buyer preferences, and then just send them off that email. So instead of trying to select like 100 or whatever people, you could just target your, let's say, 10 best prospects for this property. And that's going to be not only easier to do, but more efficient. And it's going to mean something, right? So yeah, lots of different things you can do. So guys, if you want to learn more about the template library or just anything you're seeing today, just remember you can go to topproducer.com/campus, and we have lots of other resources there for you. And so moving on to our last point for today, guys, we're going to talk about pre-configuring task plans for follow-up, transaction checklists, and lead auto response. And so we've seen what the template library can do, or a little glimpse into it at least. Now it's time to show you what the task plans manager can do. And so, if the template library was your pre-made content that you can select and use however you want to, the task plans manager is your pre-made series of tasks and checklists and things like that. So everything from new lead follow-up, automated new lead follow-up with the new lead response feature, to lead nurture plans or follow-up plans, to buyer under contract checklists, as you can see in this example here. These are all great examples of what you can use task plans for. I'm just going to quickly launch a poll for the templates as well. And we're going to jump back into TPX here. Click on the next tab along the top, Task Plans Manager. And so right off the bat, guys, you'll see a mix mash of different plans that I have. Some of them are built-in ones. Some of them are ones I've just been tinkering around with and testing things and things like that. But for example, we see, actually, let's go in order of lead flow, right? So let's start with the plan type of lead response. So let's say you guys are paying for online leads, or maybe you even get the occasional lead inquiry from your website, or open house or something like that. You can definitely have all those different lead sources set up to go to your top producer automatically. And they can even be set up on a lead response plan. And so here's the built-in lead response plan in Top Producer X. We launched it about 2 months ago. If you guys have any kind of lead flow coming into your top producer, definitely take advantage of this, because it can buy you some time until you're if you're busy and that lead inquiry comes in, it'll buy you time. It'll automatically assign to the contact. It can send them a text message, email, it'll remind you to give them a call, send them a market snapshot. And so it's just automating that process of you scheduling all these tasks one by one and sending out content to get that lead to engage with you. They might have left a lead inquiry at 2 a.m. when you're sleeping or whatever, right? It's okay. Your lead response plan will apply automatically. You could even set it so that it doesn't respond right away if you wanted. You could say it responds the next day at 9 a.m. or something like that. So it's really, really customizable. So this plan that's built in is a high touch 5-day plan. It probably will, in most cases, never go more than day 0 or day 1, because hopefully the lead would have responded to you by then. And if they do respond, it's going to cut off the plan when the lead replies. So it's not going to keep just mindlessly, robotically sending them content. It'll cut off by default. Highly recommended that you leave it that way, I would say. And then you can modify all the timings of things. Like maybe you want your second follow-up call to not be 2 hours after, but 3 hours after. You can do that and really structure this any way that you want. And so, guys, that's the first kind of if we're talking about lead flow, that's the first thing that you'd want to take a look at. And so if you want to learn more about lead response plans, Heather can post a link in the chat to our, we have a Top Producer Campus article about that. We also have a Top Producer blog article. So I'll just let Heather put whichever one she can find in there to learn more. Then the next thing to do would be to set up your lead response rules. But like I said, that all that is you can find on Top Producer Campus. Talking about kind of the next flow in terms of plans, we'll talk about contact plans, because these are your general contact plans. So not necessarily for brand new leads, not necessarily for transaction processes, but just for kind of everything in between. So we have, for example, if I click on browse templates in the top right, and I type in contact, that's going to narrow it down to just the contact plans. So built into everyone's Top Producer X, we have buyer prospect plan, non-responsive lead plan, past client after sale follow-up, seller prospect, simple lead conversion plan, and sphere plan. And so you can definitely use these if you want to. Just feel free to click on one, like for example, non-responsive lead plan. It's going to show you a little bit about what it's about. It's a very short plan, but you can use this as a starting point and customize it if you want to. Let's click on customize, and let's just go ahead and save it instantly. That now allows us to either use it as is or start to modify it, right? So what it's going to do, day 0, it's going to send out an email for checking in. Day 7, an email asking if you're still looking. And day 28, an email saying, sorry that it didn't work out. So what it's really trying to do is automate this for you, because this is when you know that a lead just is not responding. they're just not a great opportunity, but you don't want to just, forget about them altogether. And so this is where you can save yourself some time. As soon as you feel that you need to kind of move on from this person for now, set them to future or something like that. If they were engaged, set that lead to future, long-term opportunity, right? And then apply something like a non-responsive lead plan. And so let's say I am in engage and I have, let's say this person right here, right? Manny Daniels, let's say this person made a lead inquiry very casually online and then they just ghosted me, right? Or something like that. So at that point, I could go to tasks. I could go to apply plan in the top right corner. Like I said, just save myself the time and effort in the future and just automate this event. Say non-responsive lead plan. I want it starting from right now and apply that plan. So just like that, it's going to send out an automated email sometime today. And then, like I said, it's going to keep doing that. Oh yeah, see, checking in, it just actually went out. It checked off automatically. So that means it's completed. And then the next touch will be November and then December. So I can kind of let that just play out for me. If I've determined that it's not really worth the time and effort to do more than that, I guess, for this person. Time to focus on better prospects, right? So there's lots of different things you can do with that task plans manager. That was one example. We also have transaction plans. So once you get to the transaction process with the contact, you can make a transaction record. If you have not used transactions in TPX yet, please feel free to keep an eye on the chat, because I'm going to ask Heather to grab the transactions Top Producer Campus page, where we have some information. We also have a webinar recording all about transactions on that page as well. So that's that kind of crash course in Top Producer X transactions, if you will. But yeah, basically, once you create a transaction record, you obviously want to keep track of all your to-dos, right? And a lot of the times they're going to be repetitive, right? And so that's why you can really streamline this. So you have your buyer under contract checklist, for example. You have some stuff based on agreement date, tell buyer to look to homeowner insurance, call buyer's lender to confirm, blah, blah, blah. So there's all schedule walkthrough, inspection items done, documentation, all that kind of stuff. You can apply that to your transaction record pretty much immediately after creating it, I would say. And then that way you can immediately, consistently stay on track with all your to-dos. And then also you have a transaction template for listings, right? MLS to board, put up sign, title search, notify buyers, lockbox, all that kind of stuff, right? So these two plans are built into Top Producer X. Just click on Browse Templates, search for transaction if you want to narrow it down. Transaction template, just click on it, customize and save, and you can, like I said, use it as is, or customize it from there. You could even yeah, sorry. I don't know what I was going to say. What I meant to say is, yeah, so there's a lead response plan, there's contact plans, and there's transaction plans. So just keep in mind, guys, lead response is meant for that initial lead inquiry only. So it's the only plan in Top Producer X at this time that can do automated text messages, because it's really meant for that initial lead response. You can send out text messages on the fly anytime. You can schedule a single text message to go out later for a contact. But in terms of automating a series of tasks that include text messages, it's just for that initial lead response. And then after that, you might want to switch them over to a contact plan for lead nurture, follow-up, or like I said, maybe unfortunately, you have to kind of give up on them for now. You can set them up on some sort of non-responsive plan or that kind of thing. And once you get them to the transaction process, you can apply a transaction specific plan, not to the contact, but to the actual transaction record that they're associated with. And a little tip, guys, you can apply multiple plans. So if you want to have someone on like a sphere plan, but also a past client plan, you can do that. Maybe you need to transition a transaction from one plan to another at some point. You can actually do that as well. So very, very flexible. A lot you can do with this, guys. If you want to learn more, just reach out through the live chat in the bottom right of TPX, or head over to topproducer.com/campus. All right, folks. So that is just about all we have time for today. I'm going to run, I should say, one last poll here for task plans. Yeah, so before we finish up though, guys, want to let you know where to learn more. Feel free to, like I said, head over to topproducer.com/campus, register for any other shows that you're interested in. And we have lots of other social pages you can go to, like our blog, Facebook user group, and that kind of thing. And so, yeah, guys, thank you very much for spending the time with me today for, unfortunately, my last Top Producer webinar for now. Like I said, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you guys and passing on this knowledge to you, and really learning a lot from you about real estate, right? 3 years ago, I didn't know a whole lot about real estate. It was kind of a foreign thing to me. And so now I can confidently speak about it, a lot easier, and really have a better understanding of what it means to, support you guys as customers in your real estate businesses, as you guys specialize in customer support as well, right? Customer service and sales and things like that. So it's been, like I said, a pleasure to work alongside you guys in this way. So thank you very much. And Mark said, good webinar, a lot of good info. Again, best to you in your future. Thank you very much, Mark. Yeah, really, really appreciate that. Yeah, I'll be working at a local company, 10-15 minute walk away downtown here, or work from home as well. Also in software. But for anyone that wasn't aware, my background is actually in hospitality. Kitchens, bars, restaurants, that kind of thing. So be working at a software company that makes software for restaurants. And so it's kind of come full circle in a way, and kind of blending everything together. So kind of a natural next step. And I appreciate everything I've learned to Top Producer. I'm going to take it with me, and I'm going to succeed in my next endeavor. And so, guys, thank you so much once again for joining us for 4 things you want to know after you set up Top Producer X. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to anyone else that joined in, or to anyone that's watching this later. Reach out through the live chat, email us at support@topproducer.com, and we'll get you the help you need. And you might be able to see Heather a little bit more coming up soon. So on that note, guys, take care. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend coming up. This is Spencer signing off from the webinar, and I guess signing off from Top Producer for now. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care.